Welcome back, everyone. It is episode 37, Friday, May 13th of Beast from Boys Sports Talk, and NBA Playoffs fucking rules.
They're so fun.
Oh my gosh. I told Marcus, as a fan of just sports right now, because my team isn't in the playoffs, this is like the perfect storm. Every game of this series, of all the series, is going into Game 6.
Like, even tonight for you probably literally want the Sixers and Mavericks just to get two more.
Especially the Suns and Mavericks. We can talk about this first.
Let's literally jump in, because it's the best new rivalry in basketball.
Yes.
Devin Booker and Luka actually hate each other. Yeah, it's hilarious.
I was watching it like the last game, Game 5, and I go, they sure don't like each other, dude. I go, how hasn't anyone really talked about this?
I know. Did you see the clip of Booker hitting the ball out of Luka's hand, and Luka looks over at him and mouths something at him, and then it was like, these dudes really don't like
P-word, and then Booker lays down on the ground, pretending the hard foul, and he said, the Luka special.
My Luka special. And gets up, like, it's funny, but it's also so competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, Luka walks in the back talking about, you guys are fucking talking now when you're up a game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, someone goes, Luka's going for 45, 10, and 10. Like, Luka's going to go crazy tonight.
I think the recipe for the Mavericks, it's not like Luka can be just the main scorer. Everyone else has to be involved.
Oh, well,
within the offense, because like the first two games, it was just like Luka's dropping 35 to 40 points, but then
and then when he starts a game slow, though, that's when they're running into trouble, because
he's very young. He's still like 22. Watching like the first two games, like it was kind of torment on Luka, because you just see they're screening and switching on to Luka. And
I know.
Driving, and I go, oh, this is.
And I mean, we saw the coaches team after, they'll go, Luka has to play defense. I mean, he said it after the game one loss. He was like, this is a good basketball team, and Luka has to play defense. So talk about the dude averaging 28, 9, and 8, leading the team in points, rebounds, and assists, which is...
I think he did that the entire year.
He did but like, that's just, I mean, doing it in the playoffs is a little different, especially when you're the top person they're guarding. You're the one they want to switch on. You're the one they're trying to double team. But, I mean, I just have one thing to say. We said it earlier in the year. Porzingis, I don't know.
Yeah.
You seem to be quite the problem. Seemed to be injured all the time. When he was there, he was shooting a lot. Yeah. Not scoring a ton.
They have another white power forward
who's so much better than him. It's not even a hot take. He's literally like...
Maxi Kleber.
Maxi Kleber. Oh, I love Maxi. He's so good.
Yeah, they have like three guys. Randy Bullock, Kleber, and Brunson all shooting like 40% from three, which is ridiculous.
The funny part, though, too, is Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dorian Finney-Fitt, DFS, whatever they want to call him.
Oh, yeah.
The two of them in the season were Luka's two. I mean, they were playing the wings a lot. They were his two kick-out three options. They've kind of shrunk. I know they're playing good.
Yeah, but like the whole entire team can shoot threes now. Like the entire team shoots threes. Then on the Sun side, like I watched DeAndre Ayton, and I'm like, why doesn't he play like this like every game?
Oh, I know.
I'm like, dude, I feel like he could just he can just destroy an entire team.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous.
I mean, him being he's someone who totally steps it up in the playoffs. Like it's almost two players from the way he plays in.
Yeah, the crazy buzz beater last year, alley-oop. Like he just plays so physical, and
the way that
old.
Booker and Paul both use him in the lob game, like you were talking about earlier. But it's really good, and it's something that Luka did with Porzingis for the 8 games he was healthy in the 2 years they were together. But not actually. But
it felt like with the whole rivalry between these two teams, it just amplified within 2 seconds of the final second of the game of Game 5, where once I saw Campaign, I love Campaign. I don't know why I hate him, but I love him.
he keeps Luka was making him look like a friggin' college kid the other day. It was hilarious.
I don't know. I think last year I just loved Campaign, but he kept trying to attack the basket. There's no shot clock. I go, dude. There's gonna be a fight where it breaks out.
I know.
And then they do trying to dunk it with Bismack Biyombo, who's 40 years old.
I know. Can we talk about that? They're trying to fight each other. I was like, this dude's as old as my dad. This dude, he looks like he's 43. I'm sure he's 37 or 8, but the dude looks 40.
And Marquise Chris or something.
Yep.
Yeah. They both get ejected with 2 seconds left of the game. It's what the heck? And then Biyombo runs in the tunnel. And then also you see Chris just
booking it to him.
In the Suns' dome.
Did either one of them get suspended for that?
No.
Okay, because I remember like nothing actually happened, but we both said them saying they went to the wrong locker room sure wasn't played out when they were getting pushed back by security and staff, and one dude's chasing another kid. Sure,
and then all of a sudden they start screaming F.
I know.
I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Also, Keith, I don't know, and he was because he's an ex-Warrior. He played in Warriors for 3 years. That dude's like. I always think it's funny, like, you know when guys post, like, mixtapes of them hooping and they look crazy? Yeah. He's someone who I follow on Instagram. It's like something DeMarcus Cousins do, pulling up threes. He's someone who every offseason, though, puts some video up on his Instagram, and he looks like Steph Curry jumper and, like, a Joel Embiid post game. And then he gets in the season, like, averages, like, 5 and 4.
Yeah, that's kind of like the wild thing about, like, almost all these players in the NBA. It's like, just once they're actually in the game, it's just completely different. But, like... When you just pick up, they all can.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like basketball's my favorite. Like baseball's fun, you can get some balls, but like basketball's the best sport to go to early. You see me like watching when I've been watching Steph pull up threes from ridiculous ranges and all sorts of fun stuff they do. But no, I was saying with just one more last little thing with the Maxi Kleber thing. So we traded to the Wizards, and they don't do the same type of tax and stuff that the NBA does. So next year, the Mavericks aren't in charge of any of his contract money. Kristaps Porzingis is signed through 2024. He's getting $158 million, and next year he goes from making 31 to 35.5 or 34, whatever it is. And Maxi Kleber's 5-year contract is 31. And he's averaging more points than Porzingis has, and more points than Porzingis ever did in the playoff series. So that's quite the good move from a GM and it gives them, I think they're top 4 in cap space next year with a supermax. There's teams that don't have a supermax because they don't have anyone good enough. But like literally, that's crazy. I was like, wow.
And let's just transition to the last West series, Grizzlies Golden State. Game just happened last night as we're recording. Bad beat. It was very shocking. I thought the season was series was gonna end up whatever. 1 point down by 57.
Think of it, because I'm a Warriors fan, and I mean, this morning I was watching like more of the game going back. I was like, dude, I was just saying to you, at one point, they came out of halftime, like you said. I was like, oh, they're going to go on a run. They're going to keep it competitive. You know what I mean? Take it out. Then Memphis comes out and scores 36 points in the first, 9 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it was. And I was like, whoa, with no jaw. Have you seen all the, I don't know how much you're on Twitter. Did you see last night the Memphis is better without Jaw was one of the top trending things in the world?
Because, there's no Jaw. And when he was out for the, for a part of the season, they were 22-5. Which is ridiculous.
I do want to point something out about that I read this morning. The teams they played in that 22-5, so in 27 games, I think it was 2 of the teams made the playoffs. It was their biggest dead set. They played the Lakers twice that they beat. They played the Wizards when they were messing up. They literally played the bottom of the line. But everyone else steps up. Everyone else all of a sudden bumps their shooting percentage up 4
Except
and plays
for
defense.
Dylan Brooks.
Except for Dylan Brooks. That dude's building a house with all these bricks.
I don't like him at all.
I think you're the biggest Dylan Brooks hater.
Because I remember we played him in the playing game, I think in the bubble, and he was talking a lot of crap, dude.
Really?
I go, man, you haven't really proven a whole lot. I go, shut up, Dylan Brooks. I just never really liked the guy.
The memes of him for the last 48 hours, or 72, the last 2 games, have been comedy.
And he's an Oregon guy.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was like, I kind of like him, but then once he started talking crap, I go, who are you, man? I know. Who are you? But
it's I loved hearing other basketball players tell, God, what's it? Is it Rudy Gobert? You need to stop trying to talk shit. You need to just let it come out. You're turning on and forcing random things. Yeah. The same kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the dude. He's definitely in a shooting slump. And he played decent throughout the year. He wasn't shooting 12. What did they say he was? 4 for 30 something?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I know. But this is just, I don't know. It's me very. I think Golden State should win Game 6. It'll be very wild to see the Grizzlies beating Golden State
at home.
At home, at Chase.
I mean, Chase. It's you hear it on the TV. It's
we all know that.
The only one comparable is Miami right now.
1-3, it's the whole building just lights up. It's ridiculous. No one can.
We just talked about it before we started recording too. Basketball's such a momentum game, and when you get into when Clay hits a 3 and Steph hits a 3, and the other team calls a timeout, and 30,000 people in Chase going crazy, and then you come up. I mean, it's momentum. There is I mean, arguably more than football. It's a lot more than most sports in a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, after like all the COVID stuff, and now like with all the fans back, it's so fun. Like playoffs when you see all the fans stand up and it's packed stadium, I go, oh, something's crazy about that.
I know.
It gives me like serotonin. Like,
yeah,
something's crazy about to happen. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I'm loving this series, but
the entire playoffs right now is just beautiful. And it's just very weird on how Grizzlies are so good without Ja. I
know they have. They're really deep.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like a 9. Not many teams are still rotating a 9-man. I mean,
that Zaire Williamson guy.
Yeah.
He was literally bottom of the rotation in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden he's a starter.
I know. And then Jaren Jackson with his ugly jumper. He figured out how to shoot for one game. Went off. I mean,
Game 4 was ridiculous. I'm sorry. That was the stupidest shot. It was like 13 seconds left.
I know.
And he just pulls up with like 3 guys on him. I'm like,
I know.
You just need 2 points.
It's also funny too because, everyone arguing about the free throw or the foul that should have.
Yeah, the foul's been weird this playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big I'm a big believer in not calling fouls in the playoffs unless it is completely unless it is a shooting foul that is completely necessary for free throws to happen, or I mean that's kind of it. Like I mean, or it's a blatant foul that someone's getting injured, like insert Gary Payton, like anything, but. It's
super controversial.
Yeah,
these playoffs have been just a lot of ticky tacky and just like they make these calls where it's like that didn't even happen.
Yeah, I mean, back to some like drama and stuff. We were talking about how this new Suns Mavs. First of all, Devin Booker's 26 now. I mean, he's been in the league for 5 years now or something like that. But I mean, Luka's so young. That's such a fun matchup. This Steph, Ja, Clay. I mean, there's like there's this thing going on with Memphis and Golden State, which, in my opinion, I think that's gonna rotate into next year when they're going in as the best 2 teams in the West.
Yeah,
we're seeing like a lot of. It's like new rivalries and new. It's super friendly basketball.
Yeah,
and new faces. Yes.
It'll be interesting when like KD, LeBron, like already LeBron's out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then like Curry and Dame, all these guys, and it's gonna be a whole new.
When we get back to like we were saying, I mean, I don't see LeBron being in there, but when we get back to having Kevin Durant and really getting Kyrie back, like you're saying, getting lit. I mean, that's gonna be like the next decade of basketball. People are just getting so much better. Like I believe with all my heart, you could drop like this team in the 80s, and they would all average 55 points and score 200 points. Like they're all so good.
Yeah, every role player can drop 30 a night.
Literally,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
they all shoot threes.
Literally,
they all shoot threes.
Even the centers.
And then let's go into the East. It's been so surprising. Miami versus Philadelphia.
Really good series.
Joel has to be dead at this point.
I know.
He has to be like a dead man.
I don't think people understand though that it's not like a head. It's not a nose. It's an orbital fracture. Like he has a broken eye socket. This whole part you see my finger underneath your eye is broken. Like that is a painful injury. Like
he had a tear in his thumb, and then I think he fractured his hand or something.
Yeah, and it's like a hand fracture. I'm like,
it's like broken right
like
now.
Ben Simmons, take notes, please. Take notes from your past teammate.
But yeah, they lost by 30 points. I think their season's gonna end tonight.
Tonight, the Sixers, they're favored to win. I'm gonna ride with them. I really think they're gonna force 7. I think the Heat win 7 in Miami.
Yeah. Heat. I mean, the 2 games they lost, no one else except Jimmy Butler's playing good at all. Like I kept looking like how they get beat. You know,
it was like Tyler
Jimmy Butler dropped like 32, and then no one else like Kyle Lowry sucked. Yeah. He's still dealing with the hamstring. He didn't even play Game 5.
He's gonna be crucial when they make it. If and when they make it to that next round.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not. I mean, in my opinion, Milwaukee again, deep rotation. Boston, very good defensively. Like you're gonna need that other. I mean, like I know you have Tyler Hero who comes off the bench, but like in that rotation, him coming off the bench is playing 25 minutes. It's a coaching decision. It's not you're not good enough. I mean, you won the 6 man. It happens a lot when you win the 6 man. Your team's really good and you have another player at that position, but he's necessary defensively, offensively. I mean, you can't.
Yeah,
you can't not guard him. You can't leave him open from 3. Like
the like 2 losses. All I could think about was the picture of Jimmy Butler in the bubble where he was said
oh my god, like
that's all he is.
The amount of memes they made from that too. There's so many funny ones.
Oh, that was great. And yeah, It's been surprisingly a great series. After the first two dominant games, I go, wrap this up.
I know, because it went 2-2?
Yeah, it instantly went 2-2.
2-2 and then 1. Yeah, I was saying, because those first two, I think we were telling them, like, it's going to be a sweep. Like, at this point.
Yeah. And then, I guess the last series is,
I have some breaking news.
Bucks. Oh, say it.
So breaking news, I just randomly saw this some 10 minutes ago. Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy arrested, taken into custody today in Colorado. No more information at this time on his charges. That's really weird. I'm just throwing it out there. That's right now.
Breaking moves.
Criminal tampering and domestic violence. He has no bond at this point. Wow. All right. Well, curveball. Sorry, guys.
The Bama receivers are insane.
Oh my God, they're crazy. It's so bad. Like that's a new thing. Like they're like making University of Florida look like a good school. Like
they're the Christian good school.
That's crazy. Just want to throw that out there.
That's gonna be interesting. Also, sorry we're sidetracking NBA, but week 1, Monday Night Football, Seahawks versus Broncos.
I know. You hear that they rescinded that? And you know the full schedule still aren't out yet.
Which is
they rescinded that, and they also said that the Thursday night. Bills Ravens in Baltimore also isn't true. So I'm not sure. All I know is if that's true, I don't even know how many people are going to watch. It's going to be such a highly watched game. We're probably going to lose by 35 points, but hey,
they just need to release the schedule already. They really just need to.
What happens if they win? Just throwing it out there. What happens if they win? Like, what happens if Russell picks? He gets
Seattle,
booed.
Right?
Yeah, it's in Seattle. He gets booed. Drew Lock plays good. We have a new O-line. You know, the new running back goes hard. DK. Like, what if, like, just the one? Like, that would be crazy.
Media will probably, like, in first take, will probably be like, the 12th man, we're going crazy. He couldn't hear the rival. You know
what? It'll be interesting, though, and I would love to see Russell Wilson get a delay of game in Seattle. You know how crazy that place would be if he's holding his ears and looking over at the coach and clapping his hand for a ball, and they throw that. They have the most in the history of football, delay of games in that stadium, but that place would go nuts, dude.
Yeah.
We should go to that.
Yes. But that's probably so freaking expensive.
Oh, it's going to be $400, 300 seats.
But, okay, so back to Boston
and
Milwaukee. It's right.
Curveball.
No, yeah. We got to get it's sports podcast. We're all about everything. Boston, Milwaukee, dude. It's been such a good series. It's so like, good. It's not like it's I think there's been like 2 blowouts of each side.
Both one on each, back-to-back, too.
Yeah, back-to-back. And, oh my gosh. It's been 1-point games, buzzer beaters. It's been clutch, like, down to the very last play.
Team scoring the last bucket in one of the earlier games to last night, Drew Holiday's defense literally winning the game.
Bobby Portis
shooting the most clutch shot of the game over 4 dudes. Like, respect to Drew for not dunking it, though. I don't know. It always starts drama when you throw it down again. I don't know. I respect that. I love that dude.
Yeah, like, he's good.
I think he's the West kryptonite. I think he's the Warriors kryptonite. I think he's Devin Booker's kryptonite. Like, I really think that could be some trouble as we continue if they win.
I think Celtics' big things have been like Robert Williams hasn't been able to stay on the court. He's been getting it. He was out. I'm a big I have Celtics going to the chip.
Really?
But I don't know. I don't. After that game, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Celtics are gonna win the series." I am very uncertain of that right now.
Yeah, I am
because
too.
That once you're down 3-2 and that blowing of a loss, it hurts. It hurts. And you got to beat 2 games in a row against Milwaukee.
Well, guess where the next game is, too? Milwaukee. Yeah, so you have to go in Milwaukee Game 6 with your series on the line. If they win, I think that they win in Boston. I mean, it's not said and done because Giannis is on the court and it's just that good. But
it's ridiculous.
I know. Like, someone was like...
Because it's been low scoring and amazing defense. Just
on both sides.
Yeah. There's one game of, Tatum had a horrendous game. Just horrendous game.
It was 3 for 12 at halftime. I texted you, or 3 for 15. I said, what is happening?
Yeah, and I was like, that just won't happen again.
It didn't.
No, he's dropped a 30 piece right now.
I know.
Averaging
27 in the series, which is,
Yeah.
People don't understand how hard that is. Like, it's easier in a regular season where you're not playing the level of defense that's being played. But when you're turning on this team, I mean, every play is high-level defense, hand in your face, boxing out. It's not like that.
Mm-hmm. And Bucks don't even have Chris Middleton.
I know.
It's weird.
Well, that's why I think it's so scary for the West, because if the Bucks win this next game, they win tomorrow, I think they're going to win against Miami. I think the matchup for Miami it's not a good matchup. It's just not. It's like Denver Warriors early season. It's like you can just look at the two teams and go, there's...
It's going to be a high defense for sure. But
for sure.
At the end of the day, it's like Bam can guard Giannis however he wants. He's still going to get his 30.
Yeah, I mean, there's just guys like that. I mean, they're just guys. Like, they're just...
He's just unstoppable.
It's the same thing as... Yeah, it's him. I mean, it's not every player, but almost every team's best player. I mean, Tatum's averaging 27, Giannis is averaging 30, Steph's averaging 26. I mean, like, it's, like you're saying, you can try, but...
We all love the what-ifs and the all-time stuff. When it's all said and done, do you think Giannis could be called the most dominant player of all time?
I think dominant, not greatest.
Yeah.
I think greatest is reserved for, like,
dominant.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think
there's one person I'm thinking, it's just Shaq. It's him.
Oh, yeah, like, if we're just talking about dominance, yeah.
Because
Pete Kobe, like...
The dude's,
like, just...
stats at 25, accolades at 25, and the efficiency of, like, his stats.
I mean, consider like this. I mean, by the time he could be 10 years younger than Braun next year, and he's 26, Braun, whatever the heck, he could have, like, one less ring, one less MVP, and have 11 years in the tank.
He has, like
seriously.
2 Defensive Player of the Year.
2 Defensive Player of the Year, an MVP final. Like, I mean, like...
He has everything.
Everything. So, like, now it's only a matter of getting more than one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, getting another MVP, getting another, like, another ring.
He's just ridiculous. It's people always knock people on like shooting threes. He doesn't have to shoot threes ever.
What does he have on the series? 2. He's putting terrible from 3 on the series.
Yeah. So he's past like couple years. He's been shooting.
Look at that jump from 6.8 points to 12 to 16 to 22, 27, 30.
Yeah, like 2017, he's averaged over 25 points and 10 rebounds a game, shooting basically 50% or higher from the field, which is ridiculous.
I mean, not many people can do that. It's a lot easier when you're in the, you know what I mean, like when you're shooting from 4 feet out, and dunking half of your points.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, and he's only like 25, 26. It's like
that's what I said.
When he's like 32, it's gonna be like, wow, well, look at this resume.
Well, yeah, not even that, though. Like, that veteran mentality, like, where you know the game now, you know every matchup, you have but even just the matchup, you play in the same teams, all right, no kind of deep. Like, I mean, he's not going to get 10 times better, but, like, the talent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that veteran mentality, you start running into teams and, you know everyone's
how smart he's going to get every year.
How smart he's going to get.
The more feel of the game, he just knows.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I think the only way doesn't put himself up there is if he cuts it short. I mean, the dude's from another country. He's a kid. Everyone loves him here. I'm not saying like he's like that. It's not like he's not like doesn't speak it. Like everyone loves him here, but I mean, if he's 30 and has 3 rings, 3 MVPs, 2 Defensive Player of the Years, and $200 million in the bank, he might. I mean, it happens with everyone. I mean, at some point, but. Not usually as dominant in your early 20s.
No, it's so crazy.
It's a new thing we're seeing. I mean, obviously, like, Luka and some of the other guys, they don't have the rings to show for it necessarily, but like, it's a new thing where we're like, yeah, you're gonna be 20 years old. I mean, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, it's crazy on the talent. I think that's just been the story of this podcast, right?
Yeah,
it's been.
The
young talent is ridiculous.
Oh,
we're watching the new faces of.
And with G League and. Chad, I mean, like the people coming in, I don't know. I don't even think it's crazy to say. At some point, these like your 10th man on the roster is going to be like a 3rd round or a 4th overall pick. Chad Holmgren, you got to rotate him in at this backup center spot at 10 because every team's that good. Yeah. Like these teams that are bad, even I think we're going to see. And obviously, there has to be teams that are bad and sit at the bottom of the win-loss column, but the gap between the two is going to really like. Shrink a lot more than in most sports, really.
Like the East this year was just so crazy. It was all of it was just so stacked. Mm-hmm. Like it was just like one game apart from every.
And the East 1 through 6 was all like 1, 2, 4, 6. I mean, they all were in there. The West had a really big drop. I mean, it went Golden State, Memphis, Suns, and then there's a fat gap, and it's like for instance, even Dallas had like 10 less wins than them.
Yeah. Love that. And then I think that's all NBA. I think
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about
UFC real
quick.
quick?
Yeah, UFC.
Yeah.
You were there.
I know. So
Talk about the experience.
Oh, it's so. There's nothing like it. I mean, that's my third event, which is crazy to even say. Third pay-per-view. John Jones film is awesome. There's always this running joke that Chael Sonnen started as one of my favorite fighters from Western Oregon, but he always says that every John Jones fight has a lot of people dressed up as empty chairs because he just doesn't sell out like that. But it was in Rocket Stadium. I think it was 17,000 off the top. I just looked up there, 17,000 something hundred. That was awesome, and I was like, "This is the coolest sport ever." Like, I just got that was when I got obsessed. That was in 2019, and I was like, "Okay, I was super obsessed with it." Vegas. It's an atmosphere. I mean, people go to Vegas. No one's from there. Like, no locals, or most at least, are not. So that's just awesome. The fighters there. But this was crazy. Like, I don't know why, but Arizona, with 20,000 people, max capacity of the Suns Arena, Footprint Arena, it just got remodeled over COVID. Beautiful inside. Like, awesome food. Jumbotron 6 times bigger than it used to be. It's like a shrunk down Cowboy Stadium. It's beautiful in there. Super nice. It was crazy. I mean, like when Tony Ferguson got knocked out cold, it's like you feel people screaming around. Oh, it's such a crazy environment. Even in the prelims, when it started to probably get 12, 13,000 people, like when the lower, I mean, people sitting in the $1,000 seats aren't there for the 3 hours, 20 fights, but it was amazing. Like, someone got knocked out in the early prelims, and there's like 10,000 people going nuts. I'm like, oh my gosh, but... And then, obviously, Charles Oliveira, I mean, if anyone follows this, if not, but he missed weight, so as a champion, he's the first ever champion to have to give up a belt due to missing weight. Just want to throw this out there now. I think it's a disgrace for the UFC. I think it's crazy we're using metal scales that have to be calibrated. The UFC commission just came out and said that they are agreeing that the scale is tampered with, meaning the half pound that he couldn't lose and that was different on his digital scale and different on every other scale he did, like... It's crazy to me. Like, it's mind-blowing.
Can they reverse them?
They can't, and it's the rule they have where if you miss it, and like, I don't know if you've seen it, but like Daniel Cormier and Khabib have both been famous for, you put a towel up, you take all your clothes off if you're really close on weight like that to try to like literally get tenths of an ounce down, and they go like this. There's a towel so you're not naked, and they're pushing up on the towel very lightly, like we're talking half a pound of force, like laying your hands on something. But it's literally making the missing weight. Both of them grabbing a towel. Charles Oliveira chose to have his hands up instead. I don't know. It's really sad. I mean, the one thing I'll give him props for, they didn't take... they took a portion of his purse. I think it was 15% or whatever, which is not high. If it's a non-chip fight, you lose 40% if you miss weight. But they let him keep the pay-per-view money as if he was still a champion, because he actually was until the fight started. I respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point I feel... It sounds weird to say, I felt bad for the dude. He's from another country. He's from Brazil. He does not speak any English. He's a translator. I was like, it must be so difficult to describe and explain to someone how you're here to fight, you're supposed to make XYZ amount of money, their scale's messed up, ours is right, you were on track to make weight, and now we're losing money. Like, that's a weird thing to... So...
It's wild.
It was crazy, but...
Such good fights. I mean, I watched... once the main card started, I watched all of that.
Yeah.
On TV, it was awesome.
Michael Chandler's front kick was
Oh my gosh. I'm very new to all this, but so far that's been might have been the coldest knockout I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I don't know about you.
No, I mean, I can think of other ones of all time, but like, even the last few... I think it's fair to say the last few years, that might be the best. Like...
The connection and everything, oh my gosh.
And then you have to curl your toes up to hit the bottom of your foot. The picture of Tony's face when it kind of is drooping down, it's...
Yeah, it was so much force. Yeah. I'm excited to keep watching. Like, excited.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. And the new, schedule more pay-per-views. Israel Adesanya to fight Jared Cannonier is a stud for the next one. That's going to be just amazing. But and the other one... Well, first of all, let's just go. So Shogun Rua fought Rito Verdun, whatever. These two older dudes, they're both on their last few fights of their contract. Terrible fight, was getting booed. It was really at max capacity then. People were mad. I was seeing people on Twitter saying, these are legends of the sport. They're both former champs. I don't care. It's a pay-per-view. It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to be there. I don't care. I don't want to see it.
$50, $60, and you spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's a championship fight.
Yeah, we went to... So then that fight happened with the two dudes, real boring. Next fight's Chandler. Craziest thing ever. Everyone goes crazy. Everyone's like, is for Tony dead? Chandler's doing backflips, hugging his kid, calling out Connor, like... Oh, and then Rose Namajunas and Carlos Esparza come out. Carlos is a wrestler, so Rose's game plan was obviously to just teep in the air, which is where you're just making a distance. literally the most boring fight ever. Like, Dana White is on the side with his laptop like this, watching Canelo lose for the first time in 9 years. Yeah. Because that's how boring the fight was. After when he talked about it, he said it was a snooze fest. I zoned out halfway through it. Like, it really is pathetic. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It was pathetic.
I don't know MMA a whole lot in UFC, but obviously watching it on the TV, and it would always cut to the different sides.
Yeah.
I felt there was way too much people telling Rose what to do. Because it was like the coaches were contradicting. Before I cut off, as I was saying, I was watching the head coach for Rose was like saying like, close the gap, keep punching, and then the other guy, I guess, was her husband.
So that's Pat Barry, who's her husband.
Yeah, kept saying
I'm not a Pat Barry fan. He's a terrible person. He should not be anywhere near schools. He should not be anywhere near any woman you love. I'm genuine. He's a terrible human being. And it's her fiat, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
It's a bad look.
You can't have family in with him. It's so hard to balance.
Yeah, and we see it a lot, especially siblings. It's a sport. I mean, siblings or parents. I mean, it could be dad was his coach. That was never a problem. I mean, 29 is fine, but I have to go back and watch it. We both have ESPN Plus, so I don't know if you know. Typically, about a week after it's actually up now, you can go and watch the whole main card for free, like the entire main card. So I don't know. I have to watch it because Jaden was texting me. You told me about it right when I was telling you. You're like, "How was everything?" And I was telling you. That was like the first thing you were saying. My buddy Jaden watches every fight. He's just as big a fan as I am. He literally was like, Marcus, you would laugh if you were hearing the things Pat Barry was saying. He said, the quote of the night, and I literally remember exactly what he said. He said, do you hear the boos? That's what we want. You're doing great. And then he said on the MMA Hour last night, which is Ariel Helwani, who's the biggest reporter in all mixed martial arts and arguably all boxing. He was on his show, and he said, what did you mean by that? Because that quote has gotten hundreds of thousands of likes and reactions all across social media. And he said their plan was to take it a little more slow, and Carl might get thrown off by her booing because if Rose is stuffing her takedowns. And then Ariel, I mean, Pat didn't give a good response after that, but Ariel's response was, what was the plan after that? Yeah. After you're establishing you can't take me down, was the plan not to be Thug Rose and step forward and punch and kick? And I mean, she's crazy. She's always been.
Yeah, because it was like a couple minutes into the fight. I was like, what the fuck is this? I think they were saying that they were explaining like Rose's plan. They were going like just passive, like they're gonna let her take the first punch and then she's gonna counter. Like can't just like play counter the entire
no.
Well, 25 minutes.
The distance, Rose is backing up, spinning around the cage, and I have to go back and watch it. It'll be brutal. I don't want to sit down for 25 minutes. It's not going to happen today. Man. I'm not going to, but I'm going to watch it.
My sister-in-law passed out.
Really? Yeah.
She actually passed out.
Someone tweeted that night too. Said my 2-year-old son has been struggling to go to bed for the last few weeks. Tonight I had him watch Rose Namajunas and Carlos Esparza. He was out in the second. Thank you, UFC. And I thought it was so funny. But I mean, it just was. It was frustrating. She's one of my favorite fighters, and male or female. I love Rose Namajunas. That is the deepest women's division, and like with all due respect to women UFC, that is the only division that really has 15 contenders that are 15 title contenders, which is what it's supposed to be, your top 15. All the other ones are really weak. Mm-hmm. I mean, Amanda Nunes goes down every 2 years to defend her belt at 135 and fights a nobody that she goes in as a minus 10,000. But, I mean, that division has Ioannis and Jacek. I mean, it has so many people. Zhang Wei Li, who she just fought. Carla's now the champ. Zhang Wei Li and Ioannis and Jacek are fighting, which will be for the number one contender, who will then fight Carla. Rose goes, well, who do I fight?
Yeah.
What are you going to fight the number 3 contender when you were just the champ? That's where the gap always kind of drops his top 3. I go, who does she fight? Because the winner of that fights for the belt against Carla, because no one wants to see these girls fight for a third time.
No
one. I mean, Dana shut it down on it. He's like, I will never let it happen. He was like, Carla can continue to win, and Rose is going to have to. Because people wouldn't watch it. It would be an undersold pay-per-view. The tickets would be dirt. It's actually not worth it. Like,
no way.
It couldn't happen.
And then the last one, Oliveira and...
Talk about that, because I didn't even watch that on TV, because that... Gaethje dropping him twice. Carla... oh, my God.
Yeah, so,
Charles swaying down.
Gaethje drops Oliveira twice.
Twice in one round.
At first I thought it was he grabbed his heel, but no, he punched him twice, like back to back.
Like lights off, back, but then
he gets up, and then because like I noticed he falls down, and Gaethje goes like, "Come up," and I was curious like why it was that, but he just he's not a good grappler.
So this is the funny part, and the difference between American wrestling and like jiu-jitsu. Charles Oliveira is a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, born and raised in Brazil, like where you want to be the best in the world. Justin Gaethje is a 3-time Division I All-American wrestling champion, like won in his weight class, sophomore, junior, and senior year. The gap between that like you're saying, you knock someone down instead of coming up and pounding and getting on top guard or top mount, whatever you want to do. He goes, get up. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah, why?
This is this is nuts.
Yeah,
you never see
that. You got the win, right?
You got I
didn't know his background. I was like,
yeah,
because he's not that good wrestler.
Yeah, no.
Which was so.
They call him Justin the highlight reel because he knocks you out, but like.
Yeah.
He got crap for that too. Someone's like, you're so good. And if Charles was actually injured, like Daniel Cormier's example is perfect. He said, you don't have to get in guard and have him be around you and be... You know what you can do, though, is do like when your feet are up and just start hitting down, like really give him pressure. And then Gaethje gets dropped.
Yeah, instantly just goes...
Instantly.
Boom.
And then, he gets him... He got out of the first one. He had him in like a... he had some weird triangle going on. And then Gaethje's head pops out all red. Stand back up, they get him down again, and then... he just completely out, like, I don't want to say out jiu-jitsu'd him. He took him down, he chained the guard, he flipped him over on his back, punched him a few times to get his hand under, and it was fully under. Like, it was crazy.
As soon as I saw him get down, I go, if he somehow gets out of it, if he can survive to the second round, then maybe. But no, it was instantly in the first round. That was just a wild, wild first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I just want to bring this up real quick. I don't know if anyone even understands, but he is now the #1 contender. The belt is vacant. Mm-hmm. Will fight most likely Islam Makhachev, who's that you've watched him. He's one.
Yeah.
He fought 4 times without getting punched once. He's someone who, like, you think Justin Gaethje doesn't want to wrestle. This dude will wrestle you before Oliveira has the chance to wrestle. I mean, he's not going to look for it. He's going to look for a takedown. Like, he's not going to be like, his goal is going to be to punch you on the ground. And Khabib's his head coach. I could not be more excited. Like, he's 22-1, 22-1-0, meaning one of them was a disqualification. So, I mean, the dude is so good. And he wants to do it in Russia, which they won't do, politics. Yeah. But Brazil, like in Rio de Janeiro, they'll put that thing in a 50,000 seating soccer stadium and set themselves right next to the record at 60. But it's going to be awesome. To me, it's the only fight. He beat Chandler. He beat Poirier. He beat Gaethje. Yeah. There's no one else. Like, Beneil Dariush is who Islam is supposed to fight. It won't happen, most likely, because this dude, there's no reason to let it continue. It needs to happen. So, Islam, that would be the coolest fight ever, because they both can strike, and both of each other's goals would be to submit each other, which takes away that gap of having to, you know what I mean, make it a standing only fight. When you're on the ground, you lose. But I love Gaethje. I feel bad for. I don't know if you know, Trevor Whitman coaches Justin Gaethje.
Really?
Yeah, Trevor Whitman coaches Kamaru Usman, who's the champion, Justin Gaethje, and Rose Namajunas, all in Colorado. It's the most stacked gym in all of sports. Like, and so it was I'm also curious because with Pat Barry doesn't coach. Obviously, doesn't coach Justin Gaethje. No. So I'm really curious to hear the difference in the corners alone. But you got to feel bad for Gaethje because he beats everyone, and then he lost to Khabib. Mm-hmm. And then he lost to Charles Oliveira, both by submission, both of them for a title shot. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Send the dude to Brazil, send him to Russia, learn some Dagestan wrestling. I don't know what to tell you, but
fight some bears.
Yeah, let him wrestle some bears with a chain.
Yeah, but that was a fun. Except for Rose, that was I loved it all. I'm gonna go back and watch the main card. You should check the prelims one of these days because the prelims was a fire show. It was awesome. Yeah. So it's a fun sport. I love the sport. I know you've got more into it. And I think that's good to wrap it up. Yeah. I think we'll have one. We're gonna start trying to be more regular now. I think next week, Thursday, Friday, we should have one. Yeah. Depends on how. Definitely at least once a week now. I was on a trip. We had the flu. It's been a long week, but yep. Yeah. So see you then. Later.